All right, day 3 of the vlog for Lent, and a little bit later in the day today, showing up. Tomorrow I have to go back to work because I had a 3-day weekend, and I guess I'm gonna have to do this either on my lunch or get up early and do it. Uh, so today's I'm gonna fit it. I'm gonna fit in a run. I'm gonna fit in a run today because it's beautiful. It's like almost 40 degrees. I did go into Michael's today because I'm like, I need some more yarn, and I'm just finding that crocheting is a really good mindfulness thing for me, especially when I'm doing ones that have like repeating rows, and then I don't have to really think about it, right? So if you don't have to do a lot of counting, then you can just think and process stuff that's going on. And so I did that, had breakfast with a friend today, processing some stuff. One of the things I'm kind of processing right now is this idea that when we're deconstructing, how much and how long, like, can you go before you have to make a decision? So like right now, as I'm wrestling with stuff, I know there's some places that I'm probably out of alignment. So if you're new to following me, I'm an ordained elder in an evangelical denomination, and I planted a church 13 years ago, recently left that church, and I'm just processing, deconstructing a bunch of stuff. Some adverse religious experiences, some religious trauma, and then just faith questions that I'm wrestling with. So a whole lot of stuff is happening. And I mean, we have to give pastors space to process their struggles, their doubts, their questions, just like we give lay people the opportunity to do that. So the question kind of becomes, how much space and how long? So the question kind of becomes, how long do we give them to process? How far, how much space, right? Like, because I think the pendulum swings when you're deconstructing. So you might go really far one way, and then as you pray and ask questions and read books and listen to podcasts and talk to people, you swing back a little bit, or maybe you change your mind on certain things, or anyway, I guess because this is where I'm at, and so I'm like, okay, how long can I keep my credentials even though I'm deconstructing and processing? Like this, like ethically, right? Like, can I just hang on to these until I'm like solidified in where I'm at? I mean, I'm not pastoring a church right now, so I think that gives me a little bit more room than other people. Like, if you're deconstructing and processing, which I think is that was one of the reasons. There's a lot of reasons why I left my church, but one of the reasons was I knew I wasn't in a place where I could help other people because I was doing my own work. And so it probably gives me a little bit more grace, since I'm not in a church, I'm not teaching, I'm not preaching. The ministry that I'm doing isn't going to be affected by the fact that I am wrestling and doubting and trying to figure out where I land on some issues. But I think it is a question for people who are pastoring churches, like, how much space? And I feel like we should give them an answer. Like, there needs to be some parameters, so that, because I think there's a lot of anxiety that comes with it. Like, you're processing and you're asking questions, and some of the anxiety is not knowing how much space that we have, to do that work, and whether or not we have to leave, and then our life is tied up in, our livelihood is tied up in getting a paycheck and while we're wrestling with all of this stuff. So anyway, I know that's where I'm at right now. I am trying to figure out, can I keep my credentials? Is there a time frame? Like, I know some of the technical stuff for my denomination, right? Like, technically, I can be unassigned for 4 years before I have to make a decision. So I won't even be technically considered unassigned until March 1st. So that begins March 1st. So March 1st, I'm unassigned until something, right? Until I either turn in my credentials, or I take an assignment, or I apply for a special assignment. So I'm kind of in no man's land right now. And then how long, when I ask the question, how long can I stay here? I'm not talking about logistically as much as I am ethically, and with integrity. How long can I stay here and hold these credentials while I'm wrestling and doubting and trying to figure out where I land on things? And it's just a very different place than I've ever been here before. I mean, there's been seasons in my life where I've questioned and I've doubted and I've wrestled, but I don't know why it's so much different now. I don't really understand why it's so different now. And maybe because it's some big issues that I am really wrestling with, and maybe not some of the minor things. So anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at for Lent. How long can I keep my credentials with integrity before I need to turn them in? Anyway, so a lot of you who are deconstructing are not in that place, right? Like, you're a layperson, and so it doesn't really matter for you. But maybe I should say, maybe it matters for you in a different way. Like, how long do I stay at this church? Can I stay at this church? Yeah. Anyway, so I bought yarn. I'm gonna go home and go for a run, and then I'm gonna do some crocheting. Happy President's Day.